What's up, y'all? The Just Noise Boys are back. It's a new week. It's a new discussion, and golly gee, things have gotten worse. I mean,
Well,
personally, fine. World-wise, fucked.
yeah.
So, but we're here to, maybe, hopefully, you'll forget about it now that you're listening to us talk about other things, talking to cool people. We'll get to that later on. We're talking to a lot of boys tonight. I think it might be a long one again.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I don't know.
So yeah, as always, what's new? What's going on?
Yeah, not too much. Well, I mean, actually, I guess there is some new stuff. So, tomorrow was supposed to be my wedding, and that's not happening anymore because of COVID-19, obviously. So we've known that it was going to be postponed for quite a while now. Like months ago, we told everyone that it wasn't happening anymore, which really fucking sucks. So tomorrow is going to suck for that reason, among other personal reasons that I don't need to talk about right now. But yeah, it's been not great for me. But other than that, most things are still about the same. Should have some more new gear coming in that'll be make for some cool new videos. Hopefully, kind of get me more motivated to do that again because I don't think I've been slacking, but I've just been, I don't know. Just I think I said this last time too. Like I haven't had as much motivation to make content right now for a multitude of reasons, some of which are obvious and affect everyone around the world, and some are personal. So it's just been a little bit of a what's the word? Like
Lull.
a valley or like a lull, like a peak in
Yeah.
the valley. It's the valley.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
this is the same conversation we had last week.
yeah,
So,
pretty
but
much.
I mean, we did do a new video that
Yep.
I have as a topic that we'll discuss later on after this. But yeah, I mean, it sucks about the wedding thing. We were obviously all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're not going to get married.
Nope.
It just means we have to wait a whole lot longer. But
Yeah,
you know,
we're
we
postponing
gotta
it a full year. So just to hopefully play it on the safe side because nobody really knows when it's going to open back up again. So
right.
that's the plan right now, at least.
Well, golly gee, it's such a high profile wedding. So many, metalcore royalties going to be
Oh
there.
yeah, for sure.
We're gonna have a great time in a year when that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of like, the creative side of things and kind of being stuck, it's kind of hard. I don't know. It's hard and it isn't because there's a lot of stuff to write about, especially if like you're a lyricist, we'll say. Like there's definitely a lot of fuel for that fire. But
Mhm.
you also kind of like, when stuff like this happens to you, put everything into perspective and you kind of like, kind of put all of that aside, all of your social media, your business plans and all of that kind of stuff and promoting yourself. You kind of realize
Yeah.
that maybe isn't necessarily important right now. And,
Yeah, for sure.
taking a step back is probably, for the better for now. And maybe after this is done, something will change and you'll be making videos like crazy again. So who knows?
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it for me. How about yourself, Johnny?
Um, what's new? I mean, I don't know. We got a new place, which is
Yeah.
great. Cause we were, looking quite a bit, all around Vancouver to try and find stuff that was within our budget. And for anybody that doesn't know, Vancouver's, I mean, living
It's
situation in
fucked.
terms of renting and buying houses is absolutely fucked.
It's
You're pretty
fucked.
much banking on a recession if you ever want to buy a place in Vancouver, unless you're like Andrew and you want to live further out.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's the same thing with renting. It's fucked. The place that we're in now, in terms of price, is great and square footage is great, but it's a lot of other issues that have kind of taken us to our the brink of wanting to be here. Charlie's been here for 5. I've been here for like about the same amount of time. So this new place we found is dope. It's in a good area. It's on top of a storefront on a main street, which I'm kind of cool to get into. It might be like a different feel completely, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also going to be super different living in an apartment versus a basement suite.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when I lived in an apartment for a year, it definitely felt way different. Hopefully it's a good thing for you guys. Obviously the main concern is you and Charlie are both vocalists, so the whole
Yeah.
noise aspect of things is always going to be potentially a problem no matter where you move. So hopefully you got some chill neighbors or soundproofing situation or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. My goal, and not to delve too much into what's happening at our current place, but my goal is to kind of have a more open line of communication between us and our neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
for stuff like noise problems. Because like I've mentioned before, like if you don't listen to metal and you hear somebody screaming in the next room, I
Yeah.
totally get how that could be shocking. You know what I mean? I get how like that's a foreign noise and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, definitely.
I would like it if that would stop, um, but I can't stop. So I just want to maybe be a lot more considerate when it comes to that, and I have to soundproof and
Yeah.
do all that a lot more, which is fine. I'm cool to do that. It'll just be a project, but we got
Yeah,
nothing but
definitely.
time. That's pretty much. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of the big thing. We move on July 1st, and in the meantime, heading back to Penticton for about a week, hanging out there, just see my mom and some fam, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of not do music stuff for a bit, just kind of chill, recharge, and then come back and do the whole move. And yeah, that's I mean, for the most part, that's pretty much it.
I'm sure it'll be like nice to have a little mini vacation before moving, because I mean, even though moving's really not that bad, but it's still stressful nonetheless. Even if you do it all in one day, it's just like it's a lot of shit, especially in your case where you haven't moved in like 4 or 5 years. Like that's a lot of stuff to pack up and move and unpack, and it's not like it's fun to move, but
No, it's not. Nothing about it is fun. I
yeah.
did it a lot when I first lived in Vancouver too. I jumped around from a few places in less than a year or 2 years or whatever, and it was just
Yeah.
like, God damn, I hate doing this.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got to get done, and then yeah, you just kind of like a long term plan. So
Yeah, well, hopefully you can stick it out at this new place for quite a while as well, and it's worth the move.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
But yeah, that's I guess pretty much it with both of us. I would say, unless there's
anyone else.
any of the other Andrews behind you got something to say.
Yeah. What? Um,
That-
yeah. So just for topics between us, I think I really wanted to actually discuss the whole Black Lives Matter thing,
of course,
with you, because we've talked about it before, but it's important that I think people who have platforms. Not saying we're the biggest people in the world when it comes to that, but it's important that people talk about it and
definitely
not shy away. And because that was the whole problem to begin with, is everyone was turning a
part of the
pretty,
problem for sure. Yeah,
yeah, too much of
yeah,
a blind eye was turned away from a lot of that. So I thought that maybe I have I was going to talk about my hometown and that kind of stuff and experiences that have happened around
hmm
me, not ever to me, because
right.
it never was a problem for me, but I know that you've had different experiences.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of people don't know this in the first place, but I'm biracial, so I'm half Indian, like Indian, not Aboriginal, and half white. So I have always, grown up that way, although I look pretty pale, so most people don't really know. And I don't know, this whole situation has kind of just made me, I guess, reminisce on like things that have happened throughout my life that I kind of brushed off or didn't really think was that big of a deal because it was just the way things were. And by the way, in saying this, it's not anywhere near as extreme as how fucking crazy it is in the States, or not even just in the States, but like anywhere where especially like for Black people right now, for example, is the one that's amplified. My experiences are nothing compared to that, but even with that being said, like it just kind of has made me reflect on like any little thing that's happened over the course of my life that I was just like, ah, they're just joking, or oh yeah, that's what people say, or whatever. And it's never been as big of an issue as something like in the States, where if a Black person gets pulled over by a cop, they're like, this cop might fucking kill me. And, like, that's not been a fear ever in my life, which is definitely a privilege that I have. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is that like it's kind of made me reflect on like all these little instances of racism that I may have experienced in my life, and then like it feels shitty when that happens, but I can't even imagine like how much worse it must feel to be in their shoes where that experience is amplified so much more because there's a potential, like threat on their life, and even more stuff than that. And it's like ingrained systematically in the government systems and everything. And it's not just in the States. That's obviously the one that's where this all started, but like that shit happens everywhere in the fucking world. Canada's no different. People like to say that Canada is better than the States in that regard. And like, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like maybe not towards black people here, but it's definitely like from what I've heard, at least just as bad for Aboriginal people up here. Um, Apparently, in some cases, it might even be like worse. Is again, just from what I've read, not from personal experience, because I'm not Aboriginal or black, so I wouldn't personally know. But based off of what I've learned over the past few weeks, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but that's kind of where I'm at on this, where it's just crazy to see how some people didn't even know this shit existed until like this past week, like, which is a good thing. I mean, that's the good part of the protests, is that it has raised so much awareness, and things have slightly changed already, at least in some regard. Although the things that have changed seems to be things that should have happened in the first place. Like, for example, the officers being arrested and all that. Like, it's insane to me that that took a countrywide protest basically for that to actually happen.
Yeah, for
Um,
that one instance,
yeah, and
you know,
exactly,
as
and
compared
that's
to history's
yeah,
like a decade's worth of issues.
yeah, and it's definitely frustrating to see that so many people were thinking it was just like this isolated incident, or it's like, oh, why is everyone so upset? It's just this one person, which in and of itself is incredibly insensitive because
Yeah.
it's still a fucking person. But despite that, even like they fail to see that it's like, well, it's not just this one person, man. Like this shit happens like every single day, just about.
And it's
Um,
happened too many times
yeah, and it
to
happens over and over and over. And it's not even like people are necessarily hoping for racism as a whole to not exist anymore. As amazing as that would be, I don't think anyone realistically expects that to happen, because unfortunately, it's not going to happen. But what they want is for it to not be basically legally okay or encouraged, which is definitely not too much to ask. Like that shit should not be happening in the first place.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean that's obviously where I stand on the issue. I definitely think that the protests are for more than good enough of a cause, and I haven't gone to any protests personally, but I've been keeping my eye on everything, and I've made a few donations where I can to a couple different of I keep saying charities by accident. I know that's not the correct word, but like the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as the Minnesota Freedom Fund. I've donated to those two,
Mhm.
and just been keeping my eye on the whole situation. And shit is crazy, but a lot of it is, I mean, all of it is for a good cause, and it's nice to see that it, at least to some degree, it's making a difference so far. So yeah, that's kind of where what my thoughts are on the matter, at least.
Yeah, we'll see. I really hope that it's not a like a short-term thing where this is incredibly talked about right now and everyone, it's the only thing everybody sees, and then
Yeah,
people are just going to be like, forget about it, as most people do. I just think that can't happen this time. Like, you can't
yeah,
forget about what's going on right now. And people need to definitely wake the fuck up. And like I've
yeah,
said before to the boys and stuff, but like this is the time where you start to see, who your friends are and who really is a good person and who isn't. Like, they come out of the woodwork, man. And we've
yeah,
been seeing it all across social media now. I've been literally getting rid of people every single day for just, super insensitive posts. And it's not even like I have a right to my opinion kind of thing. It's just literally incredibly discriminatory and racist. Like,
yeah. That's
it's
not
not
really
like
an opinion at that point.
it's not an opinion, and it's not even like something that you can discuss with somebody like that.
Hmm.
And a lot of these people who are just like inherently racist and like don't see it any other way, it's how they were brought up. It's like been ingrained in
Yeah,
how they were raised and what they've consumed, experiences that they've experienced, depending on where you live in America or anywhere really, not even
Mm-hmm.
just there. But
Yeah.
what I was going to talk about is that where I grew up in Penticton, which is a small town in the interior of British Columbia, you would think that because it's a small town, it wouldn't be very multicultural. You would think like it would be pretty hick, but for the most part, I mean, I grew up with like a ton of Indian kids who went to my school, Native Canadians, tons of Portuguese, Croatian, everybody from all over the place. So I felt like I was lucky enough to be in this melting pot of culture. And there was literally, I could count on one hand, there was two black families in my hometown, and I'm sure like they felt very ousted at times for sure. But like we always treated them like people. I played sports with them growing up. Like why would I, do anything different?
Mm-hmm.
But the what I've seen growing up more than anything, just because of where I lived and what our situation is in Canada, like Native Canadians get treated like shit. They really do. And the one instance I can really think of where I was witnessing like in extreme forms of racism was when I was playing hockey. We used to play this team called the Merritt Centennials, and a lot of people in Merritt are native. There's huge native land there. So a lot of the kids that were on the team would be native kids, obviously, like that's where they live. That's what's up. They play hockey. They can do whatever they want. Like they're fucking people, right? But there were kids on my team, like every time we would play them, they would always pull the race card. And it was like, I couldn't believe that that was a thing that was happening. It totally took the fun out of playing sports and the team atmosphere away. Like it's gone now. Like now
Mm-hmm.
you're starting something completely different. And I mean, there was a few instances where like referees overheard or coaches complained and players got suspended, but nothing really drastic
Yeah.
ever happened. They just kind of got away with it, and
Mm-hmm.
it sucked, man. Like I have a lot of friends that are native and it hurts. Like their land is taken from them. Everybody perceives them as, drunks, and they just, get money and they do nothing with their lives kind of thing. But there isn't really a strong support system for them either in Canada. Whether, I mean, you think that's true or not, like especially in particular cities, it's really rough.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel really bad for, I mean, everybody, and especially here in Vancouver right now too. Like before the whole situation started happening with COVID as well, because we have a huge population of Chinese Canadians and like a lot of immigrants that live here in
Yeah.
Vancouver, and
Yeah.
have been getting
Yeah.
treated like shit. Like people
Yeah.
treat them like shit because they're like, you're Chinese, it's is your fault.
Yeah, man.
Which you can't pigeonhole an entire race of people because of something that happened in their country. It's not
Yeah.
their fault.
So stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that for sure happened. And that was not that long ago. And
No.
yeah, that
It's
was when it first started happening in like March or whatever. And I'm sure it still is to this day, you know.
yeah. It's annoying, man. It's
Yeah.
frustrating.
And then
I
like I
just
remember when, because first there was obviously COVID, and then right after that there was the like giant killer hornets that came out. I don't remember what country those were from or specifically, but I remember they were labeled initially as like like the Asian hornet for some reason. I mean, obviously, I guess because that's where they're from. But I saw people posting about that, be like, "Great, another fucking problem from Asia," and it's just like, Jesus Christ, man! Like,
This is
what
like
the fuck?
1944
Yeah,
propaganda all over again.
it's
You
so
know,
fucking
like
crazy.
yeah,
And yeah, well, what I wanted to say in addition to this topic is like, if there is anyone who wants to like learn more about these issues in I don't want to say an entertaining way because that sounds kind of weird, but in the form of a movie that's entertaining to watch and is a really good movie that also brings to light a lot of issues. It's actually a movie from 1998, I think, called American History X. I had seen it a few years back, but I rewatched it on Wednesday or Thursday or something with my fiance because she had never seen it before. And that movie, in my opinion, does a really, really good job at kind of, uh, I guess, like outlining and explaining like how people are brought up to think that way. So basically, it focuses on a white person who essentially gets radicalized to become a white supremacist, and it goes through his story. But the thing that makes the movie really good is it also shows like when he grows up, like these really like key moments in his childhood where it's like, you know, that planted the seeds of racism that started out not quote unquote not that bad, where it was like a parent saying blah 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 black people, right, haha, like just that as a joke. But those things kept adding up and adding up and adding up, and then eventually has a traumatic event in his life, so he ends up basically blaming it on black people. And it was easy for him to do that because up until that point, you know, those little things kept adding up. And yeah, that's I don't want to talk about too much of the movie because uh, you know, I think you guys should watch it if you're interested at all.
Mhm.
And there's obviously a lot more to it than that, but that's one of the reasons why I thought that movie in particular was really good, was because it kind of shows both sides of things and how you can attempt to change it as well. So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of great films out there like that. Like I was
yeah,
telling Andrew about 12 Years a Slave too.
yeah. I haven't
Uh,
seen that one yet.
super good movie, very good, based on an old book. I was going off about stuff on my Instagram story a few days ago too about how important Black culture is to the
Mm-hmm.
music industry, and how, you know, we wouldn't have rock and roll without a lot of these, you know, old school players.
Yeah.
And something I didn't mention that I was going to talk about, but um, Elvis Presley's song "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog" was not written by him originally. It was originally written by a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
I forget her name. Is a long time ago. I learned about this in music school, but basically, the producers who were working with Elvis Presley took this song from this woman, changed the lyrics because there was black slang in it, or, you know, whatever words that they didn't like, and made it more appeasable to the white, you know, white America. And then Elvis
Crazy.
Presley took that song and blew it up, right? But you never hear about where it
Yeah,
came from.
I
They
never knew
basically
that.
just took it. It's crazy. There's tons of instances like that where a lot of people had their music stolen because of, you know, the color of their skin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for real, like on my Instagram story, I just mentioned like a bunch of very good players, like Little Richard, who just passed away, and like a lot of like old jazz cats, Louis Armstrong, everybody. Like, I don't know. I think you owe it to yourself to check out some of that stuff and remember where everything came from, and why you do what you do is because of what they did. Moving on, something I wanted to bring up is something that I've already talked about in this podcast before. We talked
With
about it
Lauren, right?
with Lauren
Yeah.
pretty in depth, but Andrew and I just did an Alice in Chains cover. And the thing with covers, especially when you're touching stuff that people really love, um, like we did an Alice in Chains song, and a lot of people love that band, and we haven't really done a grunge song like that before.
I don't think I
So
ever have.
yeah, so when you do a cover of a song that's so widely regarded, people expect a lot out of you, and they expect it to be a certain way. But the
Mm-hmm.
reason why we usually do covers or tune down stuff is because we want to do it in our own way, and like
Yeah.
offer a maybe different perspective of how the song could be, or, you know, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously it's the age of the internet, and people don't like it when you fuck with their shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you tune that song down and it's, you know, making stuff lower doesn't make it heavier, that kind of thing, right?
Which is, yeah, it kind of hilarious. I've always thought it was so funny that people would watch covers and complain that it doesn't sound like the original, and it's like that's because it's a cover. Like,
Yeah.
where it's not like we tried to emulate the same guitar tones and the same production style and the same vocal style of the original. Like, this is how we sound, and we played this song, so
Yeah.
obviously it's not going to sound like the original to some degree.
Or people being like, "Oh, you made it worse," or whatever. And
Yeah, and
like,
it's like the
I
song
mean,
still fucking exists,
sure.
man. Just go listen to the original. What's the problem?
I mean, if you think that's the case, that's totally cool. Like,
Yeah.
we tried our best. If you don't like it, then that's fine. There's hopefully other people that do, but whatever.
Yeah.
But my
I don't care if you don't feel it, but I don't understand the whole like you ruined the song. It's like this the song is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere.
Hey man, shoot your shot. Fuck it. I don't know. Who cares? Like, if what? Oh, people might not like the way we cover it, so we just shouldn't do it.
That's what
Like,
people
come on.
think. Yeah.
Well,
I don't
that's too
know.
bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad, because we're not going to stop. So even if it's a big fart, I don't care. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we've had stinkers before, and we've had songs that
It
work. It's
happens,
just how it
man.
is. But what my point of contention is, I'm so fed up with people saying that I auto-tune the shit out of my stuff, or oh, I don't like this because the vocals sound like they're auto-tuned, or
Yeah.
whatever. That whole argument again, specifically on that Alice in Chains song, I didn't do really any whatsoever. There was one part where I did, which is in the very, and sorry, not auto-tune. I use Melodyne, which is a pitch correction tool. It is not auto-tune. Like I said, auto-tune is fucking T-Pain and Flo Rida, not, you know, it's a tool used to correct pitch if you need help on some certain parts. I had Andrew tune this song down a step lower, right? Just a half step.
Half step.
A half step lower from the original, because I knew without even trying that it was going to be too high in my range, because I could hear how Will, the original vocalist for Alice in Chains, was doing it. He fucking belts it. That whole chorus, he's like sings it at the top of his range, and he just fucking belts it. So I was like, if I'm going to do that, I have to have it a bit lower. Otherwise, I'm going to, it's not going to sound right.
Yeah.
So the part that I was having trouble with that I had to use pitch correction on was the very first part of the chorus where he goes to the highest note and then immediately drops to the octave below. Super hard transition to do cleanly. And I mean, perhaps with enough practice, yeah, I could do it. But in terms of getting shit done quickly, like I usually do, I wanted to correct that part. That was the only part that I corrected, but people were like,
oh, auto-tune.
No, it's auto-tune. The whole song is auto-tune.
Yeah.
I think
also, a quick mention, I think that it was actually not that vocalist. It was a different guy named, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it was Lane or Lale or something like that.
That's the new guy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about Alice in Chains, but I just saw a bunch of people commenting saying that guy's name in particular. So I wasn't sure if he was the original vocalist or something like that.
No, he's I mean, we can look it up. I swear to God, it's Will. But
anyways, not really the point.
What
just
was
wanted
I saying?
to throw that
I
out
don't
there.
even remember. What the fuck was I saying?
I'm sorry. You're talking about you tuned to the first note of the chorus, and that because it had the big drop, basically.
Yeah, I tuned a bridging note between two high notes and a low note, which is really hard to get.
Yeah.
But the rest of the song wasn't at all. And then I think a lot of people misconstrue how the vocals are produced, and they think that, a certain way it's EQ'd or any effects that are on it make it sound like it's, whatever, too perfect or something like that. But like we were saying with Lauren, is if we don't do stuff like that, you're going to hate it.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want us to do? Put a cell phone in the corner of our room and give that to you? Like, no one wants to fucking hear that. What is this, like 2006 YouTube? Like, no.
Well, what do you want me to do? Like, everybody edits their vocals. Literally everybody does. Some people do it more than others.
Yeah.
And yeah, for sure, you can, say that the integrity of their vocals might not be there, or they can't actually do it.
Yeah,
but
it's also like a huge point that people don't seem to. I don't know if they just don't care or don't know, but like every video that we do together, that or especially for covers, like these are all done within like 8 hours or less. Like it's not like we're going to a studio and we've practiced for months and months and months. Like it's like we learn the song in an hour, maybe 2 hours. We record it in an hour, 2 hours. We film for an hour, 2 hours, and then I edit for an hour and 2 hours. And that's the whole process. Yeah. So obviously there's going to be edits and stuff like that because we have to be efficient. Otherwise I would not be able to release like 2 or 3 videos every single week.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for like, I don't get the auto-tune comment obviously, but I get like the complaints about having edited guitars. And it's like, yeah, I mean, of course I could practice this for, way longer and get it perfect. And I guess I could do it in one take. But as soon as this cover is done being filmed, I'm never going to play the song again in my entire life. So if it'll take me an hour to record the song if I just do it piece by piece, or it'll take me a week to practice it to perfection, and then I have to record the full thing over and over and over until I happen to get a perfect take. Like that makes no sense. It's obviously a no-brainer. Like obviously I'm going to do the faster way.
The thing is that doesn't even matter anyways, because like you could just tell people that you did it and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm glad you did that this time. You know
Yeah,
what I
exactly.
mean? Like nobody fucking
Even
knows.
even if I did it in one take, people would still think it's edited.
Of
Just like
course.
even if you didn't use Melodyne, people would still say you used Melodyne.
Of
It doesn't
course,
matter.
which is exactly what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
like that's why I was so pissed about this one in particular, because I
Yeah.
did it in one spot.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, oh my god, like
Yeah,
I
but
don't know, should I be flattered that it sounds that good or something? Like, I don't know.
that's a
I'm just
better way to take it, I guess. But yeah.
but like, I don't know. I take a lot of pride in what I do, so when stuff like that comes up, it always kind of bothers me. Something that I need to be better at too is not reading into that stuff too much.
Yeah,
But
you'll get used to that over time. I don't
it's
give a shit about
just kind of
negative
how it
comments
is.
anymore. And by the way, yeah, I just looked into it, and it was Lane Staley was the original vocalist, so he would have been the one. Whereas, what's his name? William Duvall is the current vocalist.
Interesting. Okay, I read that wrong then. Sorry, Alice in Chains fans. You can scream
Yeah.
at us about our shit cover and all
Just
that.
another thing to complain about.
Just another thing. And yeah, did you read the comment too? Somebody was like, "Oh, you sped your solo up."
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Like, what, dude? It's like a fucking 12-bar blues solo. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying I'm the greatest guitar player in the world, but I can fucking play that.
It's also like because the people still to this day don't know that the video and the audio is not recorded at the same time. I don't know how that's not common knowledge by now. Like, it's not like I hide this fact at all. Like, I have tutorials on my channel about how to do this.
Yeah.
The way I've always done it, it's always audio is recorded, mixed, audio is done, sent off, then the video is filmed, the video is put on mute, and then synced to the pre-recorded audio every single time, unless otherwise specified.
And I
Same goes for vocals or anything else.
Yeah, I promise you, 90% of the people that you watch do the exact same fucking thing. And if they don't, they specify and they say, "This is a live this is a live that." Like Spirit Box does that when Mike does his live guitar playthroughs, or Courtney or whatever, right? When they're doing vocals. So, I mean, sorry to reveal, what's behind the curtain, but
sorry to give you a secret that everyone in the world should have already known since 2010. But
yeah, sorry, we're just bitter fucks.
Yeah. So that's enough complaining for now. We're gonna move on to the next section. So today's special guests are Johnny's new band members and our old friends in Angelmaker. So this is, of course, one of the most biggest, that's a weird way to put that, up and coming deathcore bands. They've been around for a long time. I've known them for a really long time because Galactic Pegasus played shows with them. I think we started around the same time as them, so we played like a shit ton of shows together. We kind of like grew up together in the local scene, and obviously they flourished and expanded much farther beyond that. And now, of course, Johnny is also in the band, and lots of other stuff that we'll get talking to. So who are we talking to from Angelmaker today specifically?
I was just talking to them right now.
Okay. I can hear it buzzing through my headphones.
God fucking fart, dude. I just took it off airplane mode for a second. So we're definitely talking to Mike and Colton.
Okay.
Casey and Jesse should be together as well. I don't know if Cole or Matt are going to be there. We'll find out as we go. Okay. But a good portion of everybody.
So the way that half the band, approximately
about half. The way that I plan on approaching this interview is, since I have only just recently joined the band, I haven't, been around for a lot of the accolades, we'll say, that they've, gotten over the past few years. So I will be interviewing them as if, I'm not in the band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Asking questions about stuff that I know, but like this is the point of this podcast, is to, let you all know what's going on. And we talk to these guys a lot, spend a lot of time with them, and they have really interesting things to say. So it's going to be a good one. I think it'll be a long one. We're up late doing this one this time, but yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get on to the interview. All right. Well, what's up, guys? We got Mike and Colton from Angelmaker. We might have a couple of the other guys joining us soon, but we'll see about that. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. How you doing today?
Not bad, not bad. How are you guys doing?
Good.
I'm good, man. Good.
Okay, and also Johnny from Angelmaker is also here.
Yeah, don't
still
forget.
Weird to think about.
Yeah, it's still very fresh. Yeah. And like I was saying before, we were talking to you guys, I'm gonna basically, the approach I'm taking for this interview is, I haven't been in the band for that long, so I'm not gonna, suck my own dick and talk as though like I have. So
writing the Decay EP was a really hard process for me.
Yeah, so it'll be more of an outside perspective from what we have watched up until this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the other boys will join in randomly at some point, so we'll see what happens then and how far along we are.
Sounds good.
But basically, how we've been doing this is we start at the very beginning of everyone's career, or even just how you guys know each other. Because the thing with your guys' band too, which is pretty crazy, is a lot of you have been, friends for a really long time, and for the most part, you have a pretty original lineup.
Yep, that's
right?
very true. Yep.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's just kind of start at the beginning. How did you guys meet each other? The influences with music, all that kind of stuff.
Well, okay, so the first time I'm just gonna tell this random story. The first time I ever met Colton, I didn't even know I really met him. We were both at a Avenged Sevenfold concert that Atreyu was opening. I believe it was like the Taste of Chaos tour.
Yeah, I think that was the name of it. Yeah, wasn't it like Mike? Was it like Bless the Fall?
But it was supposed to be Bullet for My Valentine, but they didn't come.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And but it was Atreyu, Bless the Fall, and the Bled played.
Oh yeah.
And it was Avenged. And I went with like a buddy, and I don't remember who I went with. And I was there at the show jamming out, and I saw a kid I knew in high school who was there, and we started moshing and whatever and like throwing shit. And then I saw this other kid come out of nowhere, and we were all just like going hard and shit and like whatever. And I was like, who the fuck is this kid? And then later on, Colton and I just met through playing Halo 3 online together. Some mutual homies.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
And started talking about that show.
Yeah. I think we were like, we finally met up in person because our mutual friend Mackenzie, we were all getting into, we were all skateboarding and stuff. And then one day I remember it's like nice sunny day and we were skateboarding, and that's like the first day I met Mike. And then we started like, I think that was that the day like in person when we found out about it, or did you already know and you were like,
I think it was like maybe the next time we hung out or something after that. Definitely wasn't the first day, but the first day it was like, oh, you like metal? It was like, fuck yeah, I like metal. It's like, okay,
did we just become best friends?
Yeah. Yup. Like skateboarding, fucking metal.
Yeah,
it was like
I think it was definitely
Halo 3 too.
Love at first sight with me and Mike. We're just like, shit, like you like heavy metal, like music, like you skateboard. I'm like, oh my god, like this is the best. This is my best friend. Like,
when you find some kid in your high school or whatever, you're like, oh shit, I didn't know you were into this too. And then you're just like, bam, there you go.
Well, it was cool too because Colton wasn't even from my high school, and we had like a mutual friends and stuff. And then it was like, oh well, like Colton had just moved here, and he was like, oh, my cousin's Jared, like, and I was like, Jared who? He's like, Jared Swan. I was like, okay, so like, going back, like I've played sports with Colton's cousin for years, like way before I even knew Colton. I've played sports with Jared for like ever. So it was kind of like this small world all colliding, where it was like we all didn't go to the same school or anything like that, but just mutual friends and mutual connections was just like the bonds that, made us homies, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I switched schools, going into grade 10. Yeah. And then we were officially at the same school. And
and is that when you guys kind of started talking about doing music together, or when did that conversation come up?
Well, I think Colton and I always had an interest, but as far as like actually being in a band and pursuing that stuff, that was definitely Colton more than me at the time. He had kind of, and I'll let Colton elaborate, but they had kind of like already started to pursue a musical endeavor of sorts, and I was kind of like the homie who was like, yeah, you guys are sick, and like I wish I could do it too. I'll let Colton elaborate a little bit more about that.
Right.
Yeah, like I think there was that's when I think I was only
the Battle of the Band stuff.
That was all that stuff, yeah. And I was jamming with, and before that as well, I was jamming with Evan Robillard.
Yeah.
Before when he was just a drummer. Yeah. He had gone.
You're right. Actually, that was when we first.
Yeah.
Met him. Yeah.
Yeah, and
we did talk about a band.
Yeah, because I was jamming with Evan, and we were jamming some like just heavy shit and fast stuff that Evan wanted to play. Cannibal Corpse, and like he's like, learn Meshuggah and like all this stuff. I'm like, that's crazy. I was like, I'll tell my buddy Mike, like he's just learning how to do vocals, and like, yeah, like I'm gonna get him in on this. Evan ended up going to rehab, and that fell through super quick. But at that roughly around the same time as well, I started I started jamming. I met Jesse. I heard he was into like metalcore and stuff. I don't know who I knew first.
It was, I think at first,
Cody.
It was Jesse and Cody and Chris. I think even maybe before Jesse, you were jamming first with Cody and Chris and Spencer Chapman and
was it? Yeah, crazy. Yeah. So yeah, and then
super small world of things.
Yeah, I remember because Cody is Casey's older brother, and he was the original guitarist of Angelmaker with me. And yeah, I heard about Cody. He was this really quiet dude, pissed off dude who liked metal. And I was like, oh, well, obviously you start a band with that person.
Yeah.
And then, and then Casey was playing bass at the time. So it was Casey, me, and his brother. And then our other friend who was doing vocals, Chris. And yeah, Jesse would have joined shortly after that because Jesse was just getting into death metal and like heavier stuff, but we were just covering metalcore at the time. This is like before we were called Angelmaker at all. It was just like covering metalcore and some old.
Well, I think when you guys like first played the first battle of the bands, kind of, because there was like local for us, there was like, and you guys, I'm sure, but because you're from here, but to explain to the greater audience, there was a lot of these like weird like battle of the bands, like local show offs, and it was like if you won, then they would give you some money and some recording time and stuff like that. And it, honestly, thinking back to it, it was like kind of a fucking bullshit experience because especially coming as a metal band, it made it was definitely sick for like bands that were like maybe more radio friendly and stuff like that. It was like a really good experience for them, but for us it was kind of like, oh, this sucks. But it was cool for the homies to see and stuff. But I think when you guys first played, Cody had made up the name or something like the morning after. And then you guys like spelled like morning, like you're mourning somebody's death, like what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I think I still have an old poster with that.
Yeah. And then after that, you guys and people collectively had kind of decided on like the human condition, which everybody like rolled with for a while until such as changing the name and knowing that there's probably there was a few other bands named that.
There was. Yeah. It totally was.
But that's a little later. But yeah, you guys played a few Battle of the Bands and stuff with that lineup.
With that lineup, yeah.
Except for I think after two of the shows, you guys had Casey go to vocals and Cole join, right? On bass. And so originally it was pretty much the Angelmaker lineup doing covers with two vocalists, but it wasn't me. It was another guy named Chris.
So this whole time, were you like just watching them play before you were doing vocals for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mike would come to our show, dude. Because Mike, Mike was the homie. Like he was into metal, and like he would come to our little battle of the bands. Actually, one of them like happened at Tom Lee.
Nice.
Which was like cool for us at the time, and I remember Mike coming to that and supporting us. And then like shortly after that, shit hit the fan with our original vocalist. I guess I can't say original vocalist because it was before Angelmaker. It was before Angelmaker, but we kicked him out of the band, and it was immediate.
Well, it was. I remember too. It was everything was getting pretty rocky, and it was like you guys had one more show, which was another Battle of the Bands thing, and it was like I was kind of prepared to fill the spot if I needed to at that show, and then
because we're like, he hasn't showed up to practices, like blow it, like,
and you're like, this is my time.
I was like, yeah. And then honestly, he showed up and he did the show, and he didn't even do that bad, but it was just like that was just like the straw, there was just like this, he kind of just didn't take it seriously, and I was ready, and I had learned all the cover songs, so they were still doing like metalcore covers and stuff like that at the time.
As I Lay Dying,
Parkway Drive.
Right.
Yeah. Nice. You guys were still doing which was always my favorite, the Jumping Ships by AFB. That was always so sick.
It's like a OG like YouTube gem.
Yeah.
Song that we learned.
MySpace gem. Yeah.
straight edge deathcore or whatever.
Yeah. But
Right.
yeah, and then pretty much kicked Chris out, and I joined, and then we went through a kind of transition period between being like a metalcore band to a deathcore band. We had like they had, even though they were doing covers, actually at a few of those cover shows I think you did a few originals, but they had written some original songs, but they were mostly metalcore based.
Hi, Michael.
Oh, there we go. They had written a bunch of not a bunch, but some original material at that time, which was mostly metalcore stuff. And when I joined, I kind of first started help just finish working on those songs and kind of just make them more our own. But I think collectively we realized that we wanted to do something. At least Colton and I wanted to do more deathcore stuff, and we kind of convinced the rest of the guys that
Like, this is really cool, guys. It's really cool. Like, trust me.
Right.
It was the thing to do.
So funny thing, just quickly on that time, that specific time when we were making the transition, and I was actually starting to write like original material. And when Mike had joined, before Mike was even in Angelmaker, me and him would sit and we would try and write deathcore songs. And that's actually when I wrote like the first song ever with Mike that like was called
Blaze and
Blaze.
Satan Force.
Yeah, it was Blaze.
Oh,
I think
that's
was the first
crazy.
one, and then Satan Force like shortly after. But before he was even in the band, we had like really demo-y versions of those songs.
Yeah.
That ended up like becoming like on their first EP.
Yeah, that's right. Because you and I first. Oh, there we go.
You guys good?
Hello.
Yes.
Jesse and Casey have just joined us. Hello, y'all.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. This is my first Zoom meeting ever.
Congratulations.
It's a very
Yeah,
professional
I'm
popping
party.
my cherry
Welcome
today
to
on this
Zippin'
matter.
Touch base with you guys. We're just kind of going through like the beginning history of the band and like how it all started and stuff. And so we just got to the point where basically I joined the band and we kicked Chris out, and we're starting to write deathcore songs and stuff like that. So yeah, just to fill you guys in.
A pivotal point for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, Colton and I had like been working on some like deathcore songs just by ourselves, and we had put out some bullshit songs and done this and that. And yeah, like Colton said, the first kind of demos to Angelmaker came through us just kind of doing some bullshit. And that was around the same time in high school where our high school offered a sound recording program from grade 10 to 12. So Colton and I often at school would just work on Angelmaker stuff and just record bullshit ideas. And that was actually in that same kind of just little tidbit, but in this same little time that I was, in that program, you could take a bunch of other courses at the same time, and I took graphic design, and that was when I first made the Angelmaker logo that we still use now. So yeah.
Right. I don't know if we asked it, but where did the actual name Angelmaker come from? Where did it derive from?
It was just like we had a big meeting to decide on a name, and we basically, to be honest, we all wrote down 10 names each, so that's a lot of names.
Yeah.
And then
I wish I still had the pages.
I
with them.
know.
I still
And then
have
we
the
all
pages.
narrowed them down to like, I think the top 2 of each person's list, and then we picked from that list another top
Jeez.
something.
Yeah, we whittled them down like
Yeah.
the voting thing and like
And then we ended up with Angelmaker, which I don't know. Just
No regrets. No regrets.
regrets. Yeah. I mean, and like, it wasn't really like, I guess at the time it was kind of like roughly just thought out of like, oh, well, yeah, if you kill someone, they turn into an angel. So if you're an Angelmaker, then like you're a murderer. I guess like to a point.
It makes sense.
Pretty metal, I guess.
But
yeah, we were just.
it wasn't really a thing we really thought that much about, other than it was one word. It was like memorable, and we're like, yeah, this is sick. Like, because I was really driven to the one word band logos. We really strived hard for like a really like simple or a band name, because I think we were just coming out of the time when like MySpace bands and everything were like a thing, and you were getting crazy. Yeah,
there was a noun going on, and we're like, we want like that one memorable name that's not like Bound the Carrier.
Right.
Well, there was a lot of Verb the Noun
Yeah.
band names.
I remember those times.
For sure.
So
That was that whole MySpace era.
Yeah.
It was a lot of band names.
And then
like
it was
that.
the plural shortly after.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you had some genty vibes.
Oh, plural, geometric shape, space, all that shit.
Yeah.
That's where you're at.
Athesaurus.
Yeah, exactly.
We are circle.
Something I did want to touch on too is I've never met another person in my life that knows as much about deathcore as Mike does, which is like every time we do hang out, it's literally like a history lesson, or we just discuss bands that we used to listen to. So like from that MySpace, deathcore era, the real beginnings of it, like what were those bands that you still listen to today and that really influence Angelmaker now?
Oh, that's a good question. I think like it's different for everyone, but I think like to name a few that like, I mean, it's easy to name. So I'm going to go off and name a few big ones, because obviously at the time those were influential. So it's like, Whitechapel, Job for a Cowboy, Black Dahlia Murder, All Shall Perish, Suicide Silence, Carnifex, like all of those, Despised Icon. Those are like, the shit when we were coming out and wanting to start as a band, especially for me. But on the more like rooted side of like, more specifically maybe to MySpace, deathcore, and to like an older root of things, I think bands like Salt the Wound and Elijah and At the Throne of Judgment and like Annotations of an Autopsy and Underneath the Gun, and like all those bands, they really like kind of stuck with us, or at least for me, and I know Colton, in different ways that were just like, damn, these bands like maybe didn't get as much like recognition and shout out to some of those other bands, but they still had some super sick stuff going on. And if we can like kind of vibe with that stuff just as much as maybe like the more mainstream bands as well, then there's something going on here,
Yeah,
like
for
a
sure.
breath before surfacing, and like Underneath the Shallows, and like all those bands, like they had like the gang chants and stuff like that, and like all those like crazy shit that like and samples and stuff that you were
Postmortem Promises too.
Postmortem?
They did all that shit. Yeah,
exactly.
Areas.
Yeah.
Waking the Cadaver, I used to listen to a lot. And that's a band I still like. Of bands I still listen to, like I'll go back to that because I still listen to like a lot of Brutal Death. And they're kind of just like that nasty kind of slammage that I still really like to listen to.
I love Float Face Down still. That's like one of my gems.
Still go back to that. I still listen to Despised.
Big Ron.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Ron.
Yeah. I still I went back the other last week and listened to a bunch of Knights of the Abyss.
Oh yeah, so
and
good
stuff, because that band was so fucking sick. Or like even like Hester Prynne or Resistance.
Oh my
God.
Yeah,
Hester
Bands and
Prynne.
stuff.
I loved Hester.
Yeah,
And
we
Hell
loved those
Followed
bands
With?
when we were in high school. We loved those bands.
Yeah.
Like obsessed over them.
You
Like
can-
this is the coolest shit ever.
It is. And at the time, nobody was really doing it. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of these bands started coming
Dude,
out.
I remember Greenwood showed me Hester Prynne's EP in the hallway near the metal shop after grade 8. And he's like, this is fucking hard. And I was like, I'm scared. And he's like, it's okay.
That's awesome.
It's okay.
As Blood Runs Black, I remember.
Oh yeah, As Blood Runs
learn
Black.
I love that
As
band.
Blood Runs Black.
Yeah.
Shit, there's so many. Wisteria,
I love that band.
Wisteria
I love
Cottage, yeah.
who I stole a riff off of when
Apparently.
I was younger.
No, yeah.
I mean, like
I know.
somehow I did. Like I wasn't trying to, but then like listening back, you're like, yo, I was definitely listening to that like around that time, and then it's I don't know what the name of their song was, but it's Satan Force.
Confined. It's Confined and
Confined.
Satan Force. They sound so similar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Put it
But
out.
yeah, I was
right
like,
now.
very much influenced, obviously, by all that stuff at that time. And Doom, of course, Job for a Cowboy was like the biggest deal.
For sure.
But I think also like just to touch base on like, I know it's getting a little bit away from your original question, but around that time, it was also for at least Colton and I, it was like, starting a band and everybody else included, but the local scene played a huge factor for me. Going to see bands like Argent Strand and Between Seas and
Canon,
especially
shit.
those two bands
Mhm.
specifically for me, it was kind of like they kind of ignited the fire for me that maybe want to be in a local band and play shows and stuff, because seeing Argent Strand play was so sick. And then Colton got the opportunity to play with them a bunch. And so it was
Yeah.
like, Colton and I hanging out at their jam space and chilling. I thought that was so cool. And
That was really cool for me as
and
well.
then
Yeah.
the for me as well, the farewell show that Between Seas played, it was really cool, like to have those guys invite me on stage and do part of one of their songs at like their last show was really cool. And
Yeah.
so like I think it was like those things, and like shout out to Doom Cannon and Cleanse Kill and like all those bands, like they really, at least for me, helped inspire me to push more than just being like a high school garage band. I think
Yeah.
it was cool
Yeah.
seeing local bands actually do local shows and draw kids and have a fun time, other
Yeah.
than doing like those bullshit battle of the bands stuff, which was cool, but it was it's
And those-
different.
It's not the same.
Those
No.
guys were good to us, like they
Yeah.
were, they included us, and like I didn't feel like, I remember being like, really like, holy shit, like even like when we'd see the guys in Between Seas, like, be like,
Yeah.
oh, man, those guys playing Between Seas, like, holy crap.
Yeah.
They were really good to us, and like
Yeah.
they made us feel included.
They were always super chill.
Yeah. So that was really nice. There
That
was
kinda-
there's no like gatekeepers like being like, no, you're not allowed to start a deathcore band.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
in this city, in my city.
Yeah.
Right.
It was cool.
That kind of leads on to my next kind of question or next discussion point, is like the Vancouver scene and what it was like when you guys were starting, when Decay came out. Like, what was the reception like? Like, what were those early shows like? And like playing with Andrew and Galactic in the early days and stuff like that.
So long ago, man. It's so weird to think about.
It is
I know.
crazy, really. Like it has been so long now.
Yeah.
Like,
When did I guess we would have started playing shows together in like 2013, maybe?
Probably. I think honestly, I think it might have been later 2012, like right.
Okay.
Well, no, 2013.
Well, when did Decay come out? Because I think that was the first show we played with you guys.
Came out. Okay, so that was the first show we played together for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so that I think Decay came out 2012, but like
2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the summer 2012 or something
I think
like
it was
that?
summer. I
Yeah.
was about to say, yeah.
Because that was the same release show that it was Galactic Pegasus. We released our first EP, Mirages, and you guys released Decay. And I think we did like a double EP release
Yeah.
show. I'm pretty sure that was
Yeah.
the first time we had played
Yeah,
together.
that was the
Olympia.
Let's Get Weird show.
No, it was actually at Tom Lee, which is crazy
nice.
because
Yeah.
Oh,
that
wow.
was actually sick. But
that was
That
a
was a-
sick show. That was like,
one of my favorite shows.
yeah, that show was awesome.
Yeah.
There's like still really good footage of that show on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were fucking babies. We were so small.
Yeah. Mike has like no hair. I'm pretty sure I don't have a beard at all. Like no facial hair. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Those shows were good though. We hit, like once we started playing shows, it felt like, I mean, we
feel
didn't
like-
play a lot either. We maybe played like 3 shows a year. It felt like at the
Well,
beginning.
I think we played a lot in the
Here.
beginning, but
Did we? Yeah.
Here, you know what? I actually super random. I have this list. I have it. I have this list I made a long
Amazing.
time ago
you really are like a metal historian, man. It's awesome.
of all the first shows we ever played.
Fuck yeah.
So 2012, we played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shows.
Holy shit.
In 2012.
That's more than I remember.
Yeah, 2013 we only played 3. And then we kind of took like a year hiatus, and then we played
yeah.
four shows 2014. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shows in 2015, and then 2016 is when we started touring. So
Mhm.
it really kind of takes off from there. But yeah, like going back, like I guess as Angelmaker, our first show actually was super shitty. I remember because we played Funkies.
Oh my god! It's the like.
And it's on here. We
The
played with
thrash elitist
Braheist,
in the
Glimpses of
background.
Mutiny, and Tortorex. And we opened, and they made us wait outside. They made us leave all our gear on the sidewalk.
Oh,
And
because
they
you're
made us, like,
underage, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they made us come in and play. And we played to like, it's Funkies. So like at the time, there was like nobody there who gave a shit. There was like a bunch of like middle-aged people at the bar not giving a shit. And the only two people who were there on the fucking floor were like these thrash metal guys because they were all
Yeah.
the other bands.
I think they were like, boo.
They stood the whole time going like this.
Really? Oh my god.
No.
yeah.
Awful.
That was super sick.
It was like, oh yeah, this is so fun.
You're like, I'm so glad we practiced so hard to do this, guys.
Oh yeah. You know what? I remember that we were still in like pretty good spirits because we were so nervous as well. We were just like that. We did it. Like it's done. Like
Yeah.
oh god. Horrible show in hindsight. Like
right.
It was like one of the worst.
yeah, but
then
we were still.
The next show we played after that was actually pretty sick because that was when we played Victory Denied opened, so that was the first time we met those guys, which was really cool. Then it was us, GFAP, which was that was a bunch of band dudes from the scene, and then
Kurt,
Deadbeat played, and that was the first time we met Taylor and also Dom, who was the vocalist of Doom Cannon, because this was his new band. So that was cool, and then it was Fall City Fall opening or a headlining. Sorry, so. That was a cool show for like a second kind of bigger Angelmaker show. But yeah, after that it kind of like all spans around. But yeah,
it's just so crazy to think that it was that long ago, man.
Actually, you know what? I actually have it on here. The CD release show was 09. So was it September 30th, 2012?
Crazy.
And that was with you guys headlining Xenocide, Prestige.
Mm-hmm.
Bridges Out, Dawning of the Inferno, Us, As the City Burns, and Deception Falls.
So crazy.
Like,
That was actually the second show we played with you guys, because the first show we played with you guys was us opening, Dawning of the Inferno, and then you guys and
oh
Stella.
Yeah, I forgot about
Stella.
that.
Oh yeah, that one.
Dude, and that was at Olympia Pizza, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
that was actually a pretty sick show.
Yeah.
And that was when I was doing vocals like by myself. Like I wasn't even playing guitar.
Yeah.
So weird to think about.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Dude, I almost forgot about that entirely.
Yeah.
Like one day I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, Andrew used to do vocals. And I was like, what?
I try and forget about it every day.
Was Cooper playing guitar in Deception Falls at the time?
Yeah, he was.
It's fucking weird, man.
And
That's so
Dallas was
crazy.
a drummer.
Well, that's how we met Cooper, because Cooper's first show with GP was that same CD release show, because he played with Deception Falls and GP, and that was his first show with us.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like how we ended up meeting him, was because Dallas was drumming for both bands, and then Cooper also ended up joining our band after that, basically.
Right.
Yeah, so weird, man.
My next question kind of is, in between this period of Decay and Dissentient, when did Matt come into the
Good
picture?
old Pop.
Fuck yeah.
Shut up, Mark.
Shout out, Mark.
Yeah, so like, how did you discover
Stiff.
Matt? How did all of that kind of end up happening, and what was his impact like when he joined?
Okay, so
good question.
I know that the first kind of time we met Matt, was
Unleash the Archers at Rickshaw, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we played with his band. It was Icosian opened, then us, Dead Asylum, Altered Throne, and Unleash the Archers, and that was the 1st of November 2013. So that was the first time we met Matt, and he was just so stoked. He thought we were like super sick.
Matt was legitimately the first person I think I ever saw someone covering an Angelmaker song on like, I think he posted it on YouTube or Facebook, and I was like, who is this guy? Like who is this guy? And like they're like, oh, he like plays in this this local band, Altered Throw. I'm like,
he covered
like,
Hell.
that's so cool. Like he's covering one of our songs. Like he must like our music or something. Like, and yeah, so I remember that was like my first impression of Matt. It's like, oh, that's the guy that covered one of our songs, which was really cool.
And then I remember. So that was in 2013, and then we took like kind of like a year-ish break because we played a few other shows like Beheading of a King and Veil of Maya, and then we took a break. Then we came back.
I think we did Bridge. I think we did our split EP
around that time.
Around
just
that
before
time?
that, yeah.
So Bridge
The
Between.
Veil show before that.
Yeah.
Well,
But I know that Matt always talks about the Black Tongue show because he.
But
that
that
was
happened
the
right before
one of the
the split
last
as
shows we
well.
played with
Yeah.
Cody, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that
It
was
was
the
one
last
of
show
the
we played,
last.
yeah.
It wasn't the last, but it was one of the last. And Matt came to that show, and I remember him talking to me and us, and just being like, "You guys are so sick. Like, if you ever need a guitarist, just like let me know." And that was like the first time I think I remember Matt actually talking about like really implanting the idea of being like, "If you need one, like I'm right
Right.
here." Like, so and I don't exactly remember when the transition between not having Cody and
Yeah,
Matt was
so
made,
it was. I remember we booted Cody. We weren't doing a whole lot at the time. We
I
hadn't
remember
started writing
practice.
Dissentient
Remember
yet,
that.
so
Yeah.
there wasn't a whole lot going on. Casey was AWOL. We didn't know if Casey was going to be coming back to the band, and so it was just like total downtime because we just kicked out our guitarist. We had no plans. But I decided I was going to like continue writing music, so I started writing Dissentient, and I was probably like, before Matt joined, I was probably like 6-7 songs deep, and no leads or anything, like just the riffs and my programmed drums. And then Casey, I remember coming home from his travels being like, I'm ready to send it. Like, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm like, I've been writing an album and like, getting going on this. Like, okay, cool. Like, we need to find a new guitarist. And it was immediately like, I think we had a discussion, and Cole's like, yo, like, Matt's a good guy. And like, we're all like, yeah, like Matt, like, of course. Like, why didn't we think of this like sooner? Like,
the guy who did the fucking cover.
Yeah, like it's perfect. Like, and he can shred, and that's like so cool. And yeah, so he joined, and then he finished up writing Dissentient with me, and that was when he had joined. So right kind of in the middle of writing Dissentient, and that was a great time for him to join because he brought so much to that album that could not have been done without him, because I don't do any of that. So, and he was the perfect man for the job to fill that void.
Yeah,
really.
his lead work on that record is awesome, man.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
it's so tasty. Like, it's not even just like shred, it's feel too, because he has like, the bluesy background, he has the Van Halen background where it's not just like scales and widdly woos, which he can do, but he has vibrato, and it's like a really beautiful.
Yeah, he's got some soul for sure.
Yeah, and like Dissentient is also like a very melodic record too, so having stuff like that on top of already melodic riffs, it just like takes it to a whole other level, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But and this kind of is transitioning to the next part, but Dissentient on its own was a huge stepping stone for you guys, and like it was huge in our scene. That's when I had just moved to Vancouver, and I was hanging out with the Galactic Pegasus guys. I had just joined the band. And they're like, Angelmaker just dropped this new album and it's fucking awesome. I was like,
Yeah,
I guess
that was
I'll...
a huge. Like, obviously, I knew your guys forever, but that album, I remember being like, "Holy shit!" Like this.
Yeah.
This is Angelmaker for
I
sure.
remember-
Like, this is what they're going to be doing from now on.
Yeah, I remember sitting down with Dallas in his basement, and he's like, "You have to listen to Godless." And I was like, okay, and he showed me. He's like, "This is fucking dope," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is the best thing I've ever heard." But yeah, it was that whole time in your guys' history was crazy. So after that record, like, what was next? Like, what I don't even know how to speak, yo.
I think so. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Touching just a little bit more back to what you're talking, like asked before, and it's just transitioning into this, like the local scene and stuff. Like when we put out Decay and the shows we played during like that transition between Decay to Dissentient, like were really good. And I think the scene in general was super strong. There was lots of cool, fresh local bands coming around and keeping the scene fresh and stuff. By the time Dissentient came out, the scene was still pretty strong, but it was starting to kind of like dissolve a little bit.
Right.
because in 2015 when we put out Dissentient, we actually didn't play that many shows, but that was the first time we played a festival because we played Armstrong Fest.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Which was really fun. So that was our first kind of exposure to something like largely outside of our city. We played, I think, around. Oh, it was in. So yeah, that was the first time we played outside of our city, and then early 2016 was the second time we played outside of our city, which was Kelowna.
Right.
So we were just kind of starting to get our feelers out there. We played Kelowna with Gomorrah on their like little album run tour thing, and basically once 2016 hit, we all decided that we really, from the reception that the Dissentient had received online numbers and all that like I think we could start touring. So we all buckled down and tried to make it happen. I mean, weirdly enough, the first tour we did was booked by Dallas. So, and then
Yeah.
That's so fucking weird.
I know. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it was great. It was fine. It was a good tour. I'm not going to like say anything about it. It was fine.
Yeah,
it was for the first tour we did. It was great.
We had a
It was
blast.
the first time we met Falsifier, like those, shout out to those boys, like brothers for life, like absolutely love those guys.
Yeah.
If there's, a best friend band you could have, that's probably them. They did our first 2 big tours with us. So that's like memories forever. But, yeah, like the first Canada tour was good. It was a little rocky. We had some issues with just like some off days, some shows just were like, kind of like whatever. But the first US tour we did, which was the first time talking to booking agents and stuff like that. That was the first time I met Seth, who we ended up starting to work with. But
Mark Joe Man.
Yeah, the tour was co-booked by 2 different booking agents, Chad Lawton and Seth Stone or Stevens, whatever he wants to go by. Shout out to Seth. But
Seth.
Yeah, that was our first US tour, and Seth and Chad took a gamble on us, and it was a headliner, so it was big expectations for a band that had never been to the US, and we had some really cool supports, Filth and Falsifier and Extortionists. Shout out to all those guys. They were fucking awesome. But yeah, that was, I think, that 20, like as monumental as putting out the album was in 2015 and the reception it got, that first year we toured in 2016 was really a big year because those first 2 tours that we did really like set a standard for what we could do. And then that was when we got the interest to do Summer Slaughter and that whole thing. And then that's when everything really kind of started to skyrocket for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Summer Slaughter a bit, just because that was kind of a unique thing that ended up happening? And
Can I say the funny story that happened, Mike? Is that kosher?
Yeah, I don't care.
It's just okay. This is really, really cool. Like this has always been the wildest thing. Like because
some people never believe us that we didn't bullshit. Like people always say, "Oh, they bought on to Summer Slaughter and this and that and whatever."
So we're 3/4 of the way through our first US tour. And I remember Mike getting off the phone with Seth, and he's like, "Yo, like you got to talk to Seth with me. Like, this is like crazy." So like Seth basically tells us, he's like, "Hey, so I've been talking to the founder of Summer Slaughter tour. He's the head of Sumerian.
Yeah.
And he wants to chat with you guys about he's like, because this tour's been doing really well, like there's some eyes on you, and so basically like he wants to chat with you." Long story short, I don't want to get too into it because I don't remember every detail, but what ended up happening is the fact that the head of Sumerian Records said to us that he will put us on Summer Slaughter that summer if we signed to Sumerian Records.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy fuck, because we knew Black Dahlia Murder was going to be, because they're like, "Oh, just so you know, the dates."
They were like, "Just so you know."
Yeah, like, it hasn't been announced yet. It hadn't been announced yet. And they're like, just so you know, like Black Dahlia Murder's headlining, doing their 10-year anniversary of Nocturnal.
It was like, no big deal. No big
The
deal.
Faceless, Oceano. Like, but we're like, so all of our favorite bands, like ever, best 10-year Nocturnal anniversary. Like, we're like, is this actually happening? So we had this like talk. I mean, I remember, like, he was like, so what? Like, do we sign to Sumerian? Like, but like, this is weird. Like, this is a defining moment for us. Like, because we could have it all right now, but is it what's best? And I don't really know. There was no one going to ham in one direction. It felt like very much we were all just decided, like, no, like, we're going to continue to be independent. We definitely, like, I don't know if, Mike, you remember any details from that point, but
No, I don't really remember anything like particularly. Like, I do remember everyone having a big.
I remember it was a very one-sided conversation. Like, we were all like, you know what, like, we could take this offer and do this right now, but we're better than this and we're on the up. Like, we all got this. We were all behind each other. We're
Fair. Yeah, because I do remember us being kind of like, well, you know, it happens every year. So, you know, if this isn't the year, then next year it'll happen, kind of.
I don't think that really felt
so
like
then
that
what
moment.
happened is we come home. So we said, no,
at
we're
all.
not going to sign to Sumerian. And like, so that was it. And forget about it. We're not going to be on Summer Slaughter, and that's fine. It was like a month, I think, after we got home.
Honestly, I don't think it was the whole month. It was like a few weeks, like 2 weeks, because it was almost at the end of the tour when we got that offer. I think we were in Toronto when I first had the call, because I remember we were loading in the back of that venue that we just played, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got, like, I don't know. So we were closing in on the last leg, I think.
And so it was about, like, I think, like a month after we got home from tour. Do you think?
Yeah.
So a month after we get home from tour. So we said no at that time, and then like a month after we got home from that tour, randomly, Mike calls me, and he's like, "Yo, have you been on the internet today yet?" I'm like, "I just woke up." Mike's like, "Dude, like, look at this," and he's like, "We're part of like some like voting thing, like to get on Summer Slaughter," and I'm like, "What?" Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, "Is it real? Like, is it real?"
We were kind of like, even when I woke up, I was like, what is this? Nobody's told me anything.
Because they would have emailed us. They would have told us, like, "Hey, you're going to be on this voting thing to be on Summer Slaughter. So, like, heads up." Like, nothing. We didn't hear anything from Sumerian. No one messaged us. All of a sudden, the Summer Slaughter page was like, posted these 10 bands that you could vote for to be on that year's Summer Slaughter.
And it had like their labels beside them, and there was only like 2 bands that were unsigned, and it was just like, Angelmaker and this other band, and I think they're members of a band that signed. I think it was like, at the time it might have been like Circuit of the Sun or something like that, or
They're all guys from Texas.
But I don't know.
Yeah, so we got on. So we're like, okay, like, I guess this is legit. Like, I guess we should start promoting this to get like voted on.
I think we had a second, like, there was a split second thought where it was like, do we promote this? Because if we win, we have to do it. Like,
and it's a month away,
and it was
visas. We didn't even know how. Like, we didn't
visas, everything. Like, it wasn't just that we wanted to do it. It was like,
can we do it?
Can we do it? Because if you promote it and then you win, and it's like, well, we weren't even ready at all. It was like, fuck. So there was like the split second decision. It was like, well, fuck, I guess I could make the merch happen. And like, I think it was Casey, you and I had first conversed about like getting like the visas like ready and that whole process. And I was like, well, I think we could do it if we just.
Oh, man. That was trailblazing. That was oh man, getting like members of SoCan and everything, and
busting that shit all out, like,
God,
in the middle of kind of like nowhere, just being like, okay, well, like, fuck, I guess we're paying the rush fee, like let's make it happen, like, let's fucking tour, like, and like, it's not like we hadn't done a tour before, because we did the other ones, but it was just kind of like, well, you have a month and you might not win, like, you might not know if you're going.
Yeah, you don't know if you're gonna do it, and like, if you're doing it, we got to go like full in, because this is going to be like the biggest tour ever for us. So
for that, all I did was work, and then I played drums for like 6 hours a day, and then I would like cry and play for another hour, and then go to sleep.
It was crazy. So then we started promoting like the whole voting thing. We had no idea how well we were going to do. We didn't know like how our fans were going to, like, how they were going to support us, and how many were like even new, or but at that time, like Facebook, like the algorithm was quite a bit different, and like we had a ton of reach on our page that time. Like, so perfect. Like the stars had kind of aligned for us to try and win this, because we were against some big bands like Zenith Passage and like
Zenith Passage. The other big one was
Jungle Rot.
Yeah,
like bigger death metal
those
bands.
Two, it was like, it was kind of like, whoa, like, because they were already very established bands. And I think, like Colton mentioned before, I think that the big thing in that direct scenario was we really kind of had the edge on social media at that time. We really were like, part of like the little bit younger generation, a little bit more youthful. We were like on top of the memes and just doing some other like shit. And like a lot of bands around that time were doing like the tag for tag and share for share. And like Colton said, the algorithms were just like really different. And we had kind of like made our way into that world a little bit. And we won the spot, and that was life changing.
That was so crazy, man.
Yeah. Now you're going to tour with fucking your favorite bands. Like,
and also you have 2 weeks to prepare. Good luck.
Dude, it was so intense. It was like pretty much a blur at this point. I remember being so fucking nervous.
Oh yeah.
Showing up to the first date and being like, that's like that River's fucking tour bus over there.
I was so nervous every fucking day until the second the last show was done.
Yeah, the whole tour. It's like it never got old because the shows were huge. Like the crowds were fucking biggest crowds we've played consistently.
And we weren't used to things like either. Like, now that we have toured a bit more, it's issues that present itself on stage that you're ready for. It's not to say we weren't ready for them, and we rolled with the punches on that tour. There was so many things that like kind of were like, oh shit, and like it's happening, and like we just made it work, and never stopped playing and stuff. But at the time it was like everything was so stressful. Like that tour, everything. It was like
opening
something
band
fucks up, you're like, what?
Because we knew how important it was. Like we're like we're the opening band on this insane package, and we have so much to prove. And like all the guys on the package were so good, and like that's what made it doable. I think was like all the good times we were having in between, and feeling like included, and like having support from those bigger bands. Like we became really close with like Betraying the Martyrs immediately, and like they were so supportive of us. Like, yo, you guys sounded
Rings of Saturn.
Rings of Saturn. Like you guys sound so sick tonight. Like, and you're like, what? Like.
Even the Faceless, that was the first time, like, because right after that tour, pretty much we did like that tour with the Faceless, and like we just had like a really good time with pretty much all the bands who were on that tour, like Lorna Shore, and
Lorna, like
Origin was on that tour.
Oceano.
Like we'd already played a bunch of shows with Origin, or actually, did we just meet Origin on that tour? Or?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's what they became our dads.
Bond. They were our dads. Like that was the first time we met Bryce. Like.
Yeah, so many connections from that one tour, and people we still talk to. From that too, it was like a boot camp. We decided
the stage
like
manager, bro. I forgot his name, man. What was his name? Casey.
Don't get me started about this.
What's his name?
Casey,
what was his name?
5 fucking minutes.
I had 8 fucking minutes.
Slayer stage manager guy.
Dude, that guy made us like seasoned vets.
He was like, that was the first time. And honestly, I think the only tour since that time that I've ever been on a tour with a stage manager like that. Like if you were over by like a fucking
when I say 5 minutes, it means 5 fucking minutes. He's like, if you guys go over one more fucking time, he's like, oh, you dude.
And I think Johnny, you get that now because of the Vogue and everything, and Colton and I working at the Vogue, we get it. But it's like.
It's a really eye-opening experience, especially for you guys at that time too. Like this is like the industry. This is like what can happen. This is the people you can work with, are these motherfuckers that are like, you got to be like this. But at the end of the day, it's only going to make you better, right?
Yeah.
Like, definitely, we got whipped into shape.
Yeah, and that's good. And like, like what Mike was saying, like you guys have worked with me before too when we're doing shows. Like, you see those people all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's just how it is. Some are good and some are intense. It's just the way.
It's just interesting in the metal industry. There's a lot of like casualness. Like everything's serious because it's metal. It's fucking dead. It's super serious, but it's very chill too. And it's just like, I think that in itself is its own worst enemy at times, where metal bands can be perceived as like lazy or like everything's just too casual or too chill. but it was a really good learning experience right off the bat. Doing a big tour like that was just like, no, it's not. If you're on top of your shit and you make everything go and you make it all like run smooth, then like this is how it should be going, and it's like clockwork, and it's like butter every day. She's just like, smooth as can be. Like that.
A lot of bands,
smooth,
so many bands,
because of how it was kind of ran, and it kind of set an example, at least for me, to move, forward and plan tours as much as like possible, and make everything like super smooth.
Right. Yeah, and you guys have done some awesome tours since that time too, and
yeah.
And like you guys have been through a lot since then as well. Like a lot of stuff has happened that has, was really hard for you guys, I know, but in the end has made you guys stronger as people and stronger as a band.
For sure.
I'm really excited for the future of what we are going to do. Like looking at, everything you guys have done, like, I don't know, like I only see everything going up from here. And yeah, like what do you guys see like the future being like for this band, pretty much?
Now that Johnny has infiltrated.
Honestly, if I'll put one piece in real quick, like I have never been more excited to try and work towards new music and a new future for the band. Like I feel incredibly motivated every day to come back and play my drums. And Johnny, you keep on feeling the fire. Everyone's feeling the fire, and there's a real feel of professionalism and care in the air. And I feel like, everyone's chipping in a lot more than we have in the past when it gets to the slow seasons, etc.
Yeah, we're definitely like on each other's shit and like making sure this actually works.
Yeah.
Especially given the scenario we're all in right now, it's like instead of like, and lots of bands are working really hard, but instead of slowing down, you adjust and move forward.
Yeah, you adapt and improve on, your current situation.
Yeah, but I think going back...
Only up.
Yeah. I think going back to your question, though, like I think a little bit like, I mean, immediate goals, I'd like to see us tour Europe. I really wanted to do that this year. Some stuff fell through, obviously some stuff fell through, but Europe
just a little bit
awesome. I still think touring Asia would be like a dream come true, play Japan, something like that. I think those are, at least for me, a bit more immediate goals. We have some other stuff in the works that I'm sure, should be coming around sooner than later. But
I think the next album we put out, like with you now being in the band, is probably going to be like our most insane album. Like it's going to be like, I already feel it. Like, and we have so much time to like throw this, like we've got all the ingredients. Like we're throwing it in the slow cooker. We got the slow cooker this year, right? Because we're not touring. We have all this time to like spend and to like chat and talk, and like the slow cooker's on low. We're fucking chilling with this shit at the end of the year. Like when we like it's cooking right now, and like I feel it. The tunes are going to be insane. I can't wait because I know I'm going to have to be patient. I'm so bad at being patient. I want to get shit done. But dude, I have this time. I know how much time we have. I want to get shit done, but like it's about I just want to listen to it already. And because I know it's I can see it. Like I want to already hear our new album because I just know it's going to be so sick. I'm really, really excited about our next album.
We have a lot of stuff.
Already. It's just gonna get it's gonna get finessed, dude. Like Mike, I'm very excited about the music and obviously touring. I'm just trying not to think about touring right now because like it seems so far away, and it is. So I'm just not teasing myself. I'm with Mike though. Like we're doing Europe whenever it's safe and possible. Like we're fucking hitting Europe,
and we're doing a headliner. That was a plan for this year too. Like on like not talking album stuff, but tour stuff. And whenever it happens, like Colton said, not try to get hopes up too much. But the plan was a headliner tour. And because it's been a minute since we did one, and then Europe and maybe Asia, but we'd like to get back to Europe and do a headliner through the US and Canada, and maybe get something going through there, and put out some new music and do all the cool stuff.
Get her done. Yeah, I mean we got the time, so. But yeah, guys, like we could. There was stuff that we kind of brushed over that I would have liked to really talk about, but I know we're running short on time today. So we'll have to have the homies back on again.
Yeah,
and,
definitely we'll have to do this again.
Discuss some more stuff for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, thank you guys for coming on and doing this with us. We did have a lot of people ask to have Angelmaker on. So hopefully this, scratches that itch for those peeps. If not, we're going to do it again. So fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's plenty more stuff we can talk about. So plenty of time for a future episode for sure.
But yeah, thanks for coming, boys. I appreciate it a lot. We both appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thanks, y'all. Dope. So that was Angelmaker. It was pretty great, man. They have a lot of things they can talk about, and that kind of got brushed over. But like we said, we will talk to them again and kind of get a little bit more in depth on some stuff, particular tours and all of that. They have had a lot of highlights, but they've had some lowlights too that have affected them pretty drastically, but they've done very well since.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk about their last album at all, so there's definitely plenty of material to continue talking to them about, and if that interests you guys, definitely let us know. And if it doesn't interest you, we're probably going to do it anyway, so hopefully you liked it.
Yeah, so in terms of what we're doing next for the next little month of the podcast, I'm pretty busy through the middle of the month. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do one. So we might miss one in between, and then I'm moving at the end. So it might take maybe a 2-week break or something like that. We'll see what we can do.
And also this one is going to be uploaded a bit later than normal. We've been pretty good with sticking to Saturday, Sunday uploads, but right now at the time of filming this, it's like 10 p.m. on Friday. So there's like no way I'm going to have this done by tomorrow. Obviously, and then I'm doing a bunch of other stuff this weekend, so I just can't do it.
Right.
So it'll be a bit later by the time you guys hear this. And then Johnny, you said you're going away like June 10th or something like that.
14th to the 20th.
Okay, so we probably won't get another one in until after you get back from that. So we might only have 2 this month. And then Johnny's moving after that as well. So we'll see how it is, but we'll do what we can.
We'll see what's up. If there's anybody that you guys want us to get on, let us know, and we'll see if we can make it happen as well.
Yeah.
With our resources that we have. Also, apologies for the last podcast. I know that it was quiet. I edited it this time. It was my first time editing the podcast. So yeah, sorry that it was quiet. It won't be quiet anymore. It'll be fucking super loud. So.
Yeah, we're working on figuring out a way that both Johnny and I can edit because, oops, I just fucked my mic up. Because up until the last one, I had edited all of them, but I just can't really handle that workload. So we're going to try and split that a little more evenly. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened there, but no big deal. We'll make like a template and share it so that it's a little more consistent or something like that in the future.
I just wanted to say sorry.
It's okay, man.
If you want us to do trivia again, tell us, because I like trivia. That was fun.
It ended up being pretty fun. Oh, by the way, apparently we were both wrong. So I don't know if that counts as a negative point to me. I'm still going to say I won. But so Post Malone didn't, what did he do? He didn't audition for Capture the Crown, which is what I said. He auditioned for Crown the Empire.
What did I say? We Came as Romans?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think
how did you looked it up? How did you?
I know. That wrong? I think I literally have it written down as Crown the Empire, but I saw like Crown, so my brain just went like, yeah, Capture the Crown. I don't fucking know.
Everyone's just listening to the podcast, being like, "You're both fucking wrong.
You're wrong about everything, but you also complain about all the comments that are wrong on all of your things, and it's very ironic, and I'm very upset."
We're only human, guys. I'm sorry. We make mistakes. I'm an idiot. We're both idiots.
Yeah, terrible people.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. That's all I got to say. See you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.